Robin Chen stumbled through the automatic doors of St. Mary's emergency room at 2:47 a.m., clutching his swollen abdomen. He was a man broad-shouldered, bearded, unmistakably male, but his stomach protruded like he was 9 months pregnant. The night nurse looked up from her computer screen, and her jaw dropped. "Sir, are you? How can I help you?" Robin collapsed into the nearest chair, his face pale and drenched in sweat. "Something's moving inside me," he gasped. "Please, I need help. Now." 3 months earlier, Robin had been living a normal life. He was a 34-year-old construction foreman, married to his college sweetheart Alina for 8 years. They'd been trying for a baby for the past 3 years with no success. The fertility treatments had drained their savings and their hope. Then Robin started feeling strange. At first, it was just nausea in the mornings. He blamed it on stress from work. Then came the fatigue, so overwhelming he could barely climb the scaffolding at job sites. His colleagues teased him about getting soft. "Maybe you're pregnant," his buddy Jake had joked, slapping him on the back. Robin had laughed it off. But the joke stopped being funny when his stomach started swelling. Alina noticed first. "Honey, have you been eating more?" she asked gently one evening, her hand on his belly. Robin pulled away, embarrassed. He'd always been fit, proud of his physique. The sudden weight gain mortified him. "I'll hit the gym harder," he promised, but no amount of exercise made a difference. His abdomen continued to expand, firm and round, pushing against his work shirts until the buttons strained. Worse, he started feeling something he couldn't explain, a fluttering sensation like bubbles popping deep inside his belly. Robin hid his condition for as long as he could. He wore loose flannel shirts and avoided looking in mirrors. When Alina suggested he see a doctor, he made excuses. What would he even say? "Doctor, I feel pregnant." They'd laugh him out of the office. But the symptoms became impossible to ignore. One afternoon at a construction site, Robin bent down to lift a toolbox and felt a sharp, powerful kick from inside his abdomen. The sensation was so strong, it knocked the wind out of him. He stumbled backward, nearly falling off the platform. "Robin, you okay?" Jake rushed over, steadying him. "Yeah, just..." "Stomach cramp," Robin lied, his hand pressed against the spot where he'd felt the movement. His heart pounded. That wasn't a cramp. That was something alive. That night, Alina found him standing shirtless in the bathroom, staring at his reflection with tears streaming down his face. His belly was undeniably swollen, stretched tight like a drum. As she watched in shock, a visible ripple moved across his skin. Something inside him was moving. "Robin, what's happening to you?" Alina whispered, her voice trembling. "I don't know," he choked out. "But I'm scared, Alina. I'm really scared." The pain started during dinner 2 days later. Sharp, rhythmic contractions that made Robin double over, gasping. Alina grabbed her keys with shaking hands. "We're going to the hospital now. I don't care what you say." The drive felt endless. Robin groaned with each contraction, his hands gripping the dashboard. "What if they think I'm crazy?" he panted. "What if this is some kind of tumor? What if I'm dying?" "Then we find out," Alina said firmly, though her own hands trembled on the steering wheel. "Whatever this is, we face it together." At the ER, the triage nurse's skepticism was evident. A pregnant man. Impossible. But one look at Robin's vital signs, elevated heart rate, blood pressure through the roof, and that unmistakable swollen abdomen, she fast-tracked him to examination room 3. Dr. Sarah Mitchell had been on shift for 16 hours. She'd seen everything from chainsaw accidents to children who'd swallowed batteries. But when she walked into the examination room and saw Robin Chen lying on the gurney, his swollen belly rising and falling with labored breaths, she stopped short. "Mr. Chen, I'm Dr. Mitchell. Can you describe your symptoms?" Robin's voice was hoarse. "I feel like I'm pregnant. I know how that sounds. I know it's impossible. But something is growing inside me, and it's moving, and I don't know what's happening." Dr. Mitchell maintained her professional composure, but her mind raced. Male pregnancy was medically impossible without significant intervention. Could this be a teratoma? An abdominal tumor? Some rare hermaphroditic condition? She ordered an immediate ultrasound. The ultrasound technician, a young woman named Priya, wheeled in the machine. She'd been briefed on the unusual case, and her expression was carefully neutral as she applied the cold gel to Robin's abdomen. Alina stood by his side, clutching his hand. Dr. Mitchell positioned herself at the monitor, Ready to diagnose what she assumed would be some kind of mass or growth, Priya pressed the transducer against Robin's belly and angled it carefully. The room fell silent except for the hum of the machine. Then the image appeared on the screen. Dr. Mitchell's face went white. Her hand flew to her mouth. For a moment she swayed on her feet, and the nurse nearby grabbed her arm to steady her. That's not possible, Dr. Mitchell whispered, her voice barely audible. On the ultrasound screen, clear as day, was a fetus. It's not just any fetus, a fully formed late-term baby, moving its tiny hands, its heart beating in a steady, strong rhythm. The measurements suggested approximately 34 weeks of development. But that wasn't what made Dr. Mitchell nearly faint. The baby wasn't in a uterus. Robin Chen didn't have a uterus. The fetus had somehow implanted in his abdominal cavity, attached to his omentum and intestinal wall, in what should have been a fatal ectopic pregnancy. Yet somehow, impossibly, it had survived and thrived, creating its own blood supply, its own life support system, in a place where no baby should be able to grow. "What is it?" Robin demanded, trying to see the screen.
What's wrong with me?
Dr. Mitchell turned to him, and for the first time in her 20-year career, she had no words. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. "Mr. Chen," she said slowly, her voice shaking, "you're pregnant. You're carrying a baby. It's a healthy, living baby." The room erupted in chaos. Nina screamed not in horror, but in shock and sudden, overwhelming joy. She'd waited years for a baby, undergone countless treatments, and now here it was, growing inside her husband. It made no sense, defied every law of medicine and biology, but it was real. She could see it on the screen. Robin stared at the ultrasound image, tears streaming down his face. "How?" he whispered. "How is this possible?" Dr. Mitchell had no answer. She immediately called in specialists, a team of obstetricians, surgeons, geneticists, and endocrinologists. Within an hour, St. Mary's Hospital was in controlled pandemonium as the medical team tried to understand what they were witnessing. Tests revealed that Robin had an incredibly rare genetic condition, so rare it had only been documented in medical literature a handful of times. He had residual Müllerian structures, remnants of female reproductive tissue that most males absorb in utero. In Robin's case, these structures had remained dormant and undetected his entire life. During one of their fertility treatments, when Elena's eggs were being harvested and fertilized, a medical miracle or impossibility had occurred. An embryo had somehow migrated, possibly through microscopic passages in Robin's abdominal wall, and implanted in his abdominal cavity, where it found those rare tissue structures and created an unprecedented biological connection. The baby had essentially created its own placenta, drawing nutrients from Robin's blood supply through the abdominal tissue. It was a 1 in a billion occurrence, something that should have killed both Robin and the baby within weeks. Instead, somehow both had survived. "We need to deliver this baby immediately," Dr. Mitchell explained, her composure returning as she shifted into emergency mode. "This is incredibly dangerous. Every day that passes increases the risk of hemorrhage, infection, or organ damage. We'll need to perform a cesarean section, but not like any we've done before." 6 hours later, Robin was prepped for surgery. The operating room was packed with medical professionals, many there simply to witness what would be the most extraordinary case of their careers. Lena held Robin's hand as the anesthesiologist administered the spinal block. "I love you," she whispered. "You're about to become a father in the most incredible way." Robin managed a weak smile. "We're about to become parents. Together." The surgery was delicate and dangerous. Dr. Mitchell and her team made the incision carefully, navigating around vital organs that had been displaced by the growing fetus. When they finally reached the baby, suspended in its impossible womb of abdominal tissue, the room held its collective breath. At 4:23 a.m., Dr. Mitchell lifted a tiny, squalling baby boy from Robin Chen's abdomen. The operating room erupted in applause. Nurses wiped away tears. Even the veteran surgeons stood in awe. The baby was small but healthy, his lungs strong, his cries indignant at being pulled from his warm sanctuary. Lena sobbed with joy as the nurse cleaned him and placed him in her arms. Robin, still conscious from the spinal anesthesia, craned his neck to see. "Is he okay?" he asked desperately. "Is our son okay?" "He's perfect," Dr. Mitchell said, her own eyes wet. "You just gave birth to a miracle, Mr. Chen." Baby Alexander Chen spent 2 weeks in the NICU, not because of complications, but because the medical team wanted to monitor him carefully. Robin recovered from his surgery with surprising speed, though the experience left him with a story no one would believe without the medical records to prove it. News of the case spread through the medical community, carefully anonymized, sparking debates about the limits of human reproduction and the mysteries still hidden in human genetics. Robin and Alina declined media requests, wanting to protect their privacy and their son. 3 months later, Robin sat in their nursery at 3 a.m., holding Alexander against his chest. The baby made soft cooing sounds, his tiny hand wrapped around Robin's finger. Alina appeared in the doorway, smiling sleepily. "You okay?" "Yeah," Robin said softly, kissing Alexander's forehead. "I was just thinking, everyone told us it was impossible. The doctor said we'd never have a baby. And they were right, it should have been impossible. But here he is." "Here he is," Alina echoed, coming to sit beside them. "It's our impossible miracle." Alexander yawned, blissfully unaware of the extraordinary circumstances of his birth, of the medical impossibility that brought him into the world. To him, his parents were simply mom and dad, the two people who loved him more than anything. And perhaps that, more than the medical miracle, was the most beautiful part of the story. Imagine carrying a life inside you when everyone said it was impossible. Imagine facing the fear, the uncertainty, the disbelief, and then holding that miracle in your arms. Robin and Alina's story reminds us that the human body still holds mysteries we don't fully understand, and that love can transcend even the boundaries of medical possibility. Would you believe this story if someone told you it happened? What would you do if you discovered something impossible growing inside you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button for more incredible real-life medical mysteries that defy belief. Like this video if you believe in miracles. Share it with someone who needs to know that sometimes the impossible becomes possible.